industry. So, with that being said, Tim, what got you into radio and what led you down the road of covering sports?
Sure. So it was kind of a crazy journey in the fact that I've been at the station now for 11 years. I started at 105.7, 106.5 as a promotions assistant, and I was just giving out t-shirts, playing Plinko at events. And then I got into it. I picked up a overnight shift, a midnight to 6 a.m. shift that no one wanted Friday into Saturday night. Um, and just kind of worked my way up from there. And I went to Towson University, went there for mass communications, and I did their student radio. And I knew if I ever was to get a shot on air, it would be solo to start. So I did solo shows there and just kept working at it. I had my own podcast for a bit just to get some reps. And I really just working hard and doing everything there is to do in the building, saying yes to everything. And that kind of got me to my spot today.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Most of my crowd listening here is more into music, but I do want to talk about some sports. So I'm going to start real simple, real fundamental. What's your favorite sport to talk about and why?
Um, I would probably say football, just because I think football was kind of my first love, if you will, getting into the Ravens when I was a young kid. And obviously, I'm a big baseball fan as well and love talking O's and talking MLB. But football was just so much fun for me growing up. I played it as a kid, I played it in high school, just playing even in the neighborhood with friends.
Right.
And a lot of my family had season tickets to the Ravens, so I got to go to quite a few games growing up as a kid, and that was obviously a great experience. And it was just a fun time, fun atmosphere, with the tailgates and everything. So
Right.
I would probably say football.
Yeah, with the cool thing about football too is I feel like more than any other sport, it just seems to be more like a and I've talked about it to you, but more like drama fueled, I guess. Like there's a lot more to talk about when it comes to like what's going on with each individual player. There's a lot of stuff to talk about outside the sport. I feel like it's more like that uh than any other sport. What did you say?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, look, football is king in this country.
Yeah.
You can look at the ratings in terms of the NFL, you can look at the ratings in terms of college football, and routinely when you're looking at the top 50 highest rated TV shows in any given year, it's dominated by football. I just think it's kind of that commonality, I feel like, for a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, because like th my show also streams globally, so there's a lot of people who might be listening who aren't from America, but yeah, if anyone doesn't understand the impression, like it's a really big deal.
Well, and to that point, Alex, you can see the NFL really over the past, gosh, decade plus now, playing more and more games overseas, and they're going to continue to lean into playing international games. And I think it's going to get to a point when they expand the season to 18 games, maybe every
Right.
team plays a game overseas. I could easily see that.
Yeah, I would like to see more teams play because no offense to the teams who currently do go overseas, but it doesn't always end up leading to the most exciting games like some of the matchups that happen here like in LA or other bigger markets here, New York, even though the teams aren't what they used to be, they're still fun to watch and get a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would assume as they continue to get more and more games, you're definitely right in terms of they're not bringing the marquee matchups over there. We know that the Jaguars play every single year in
Right.
London. They've kind of stunk for a while now, so that's part of it too. But I would anticipate that improves as the years go on.
Right. Yeah. And I look forward to it. And it's just like the I don't want to say oversaturation because I like football, but I guess it's the only word for it. But it's just crazy how much football takes over to the point where it's even outside the NFL. Now you have like UFL and the Canadian leagues like really
Oh, I think
exploding in
over.
popularity too, like especially in betting. Like I've been hanging out at the casino and I've been watching people bet on UFL, which is something I've never seen, but I guess, when you got the money, you can kind of bet on anything.
Well, at that point, the legalization of sports betting has completely changed how people consume sports. It's just the
Right.
fact. You can't avoid it at this point where, you have, I just filled in recently for BetMGM radio network. It's just an all gambling radio network. And ESPN, or you can watch any game now where it has the spread,
Right.
down low in the lower third with the scores. You can't
Yeah.
escape it at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, moving more back into NFL, I want to ask a little bit more of like an opinionated question. Um, what was your main takeaways from the NFL draft now that it's in the rearview mirror? Any picks or moves? They don't have to be on the Ravens necessarily, but any picks or moves that you see were really good. And we can also group free agency in there too if there's some free agency swaps that you like.
Well, I would say this. It's been a weird off season for the NFL in general in terms of it was kind of a poor free agency class. So I feel like not too many teams got markedly better. In terms of now we just saw the George Pickens trade yesterday, which was kind of crazy. But
Yeah,
um, in terms of the draft, obviously the big headline is Shador Sanders, and that was pretty shocking, quite
right,
frankly. The fact that he fell to the fifth round when he was seen as a top 10 talent, and everyone's sort of wondering why. And who knows if we're ever going to know why. I'm
right,
sure a lot of people point to the interview process. A lot of people point to, oh gosh, is Deion Sanders, his father, going to meddle with the organization that he
right,
goes to? And the Browns taking him was extra interesting because they drafted the Oregon quarterback first, Dylan Gabriel, and then drafted Shador Sanders, which was weird. And the other big storyline from the draft for me was also involving the Browns trading down from pick 2 to pick 5 with the
yeah.
Jags not taking Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter is a absolute unicorn in the fact that he can play both ways. You don't see that at all in the NFL. And the Browns opted to trade down and get a future first round pick for next year, which kind of I understand they're not going to be any good this year, but and they're building towards the future. But those are the two huge storylines I think coming out of the draft.
Yeah. It seems like cuz I worked the draft show with Ken and Vinny
Hmm.
and yeah, it didn't seem like a lot. This was the first draft where I was really locked into every single pick for me and it did seem that way that there wasn't a lot of like big deal like whoa, this team picked that guy. Some stuff seemed very predictable to the point where like someone like me with a base level knowledge of the college talent was able to predict some of these picks on some of the upper levels. Like, of course, everyone was going to know who the Titans were going to pick right away. So
Yeah.
there was a couple of those where I like it was pretty predictable. But was there? I think even though it's Ravens and it might seem like a bigger deal to us, but I really do think it was a big deal that the Ravens drafted a kicker.
Oh, for sure. And obviously, excuse me, they recently released Justin Tucker. That's sort
Yeah,
of seemed inevitable given
right.
everything that has gone on this offseason with the reports dating back over a decade. But that was the first time they've ever drafted a kicker in franchise history in
Right.
Tyler Loop. And the Ravens, one thing they do really, really well is identify kickers. And even during Justin Tucker's time in Baltimore, when they would bring in undrafted kids, and you can think of a Graham Gano that went on to have a really good career. Will Lutz went on to have a really good career. Stephen Hauschka, after he left Baltimore, had a really good career. So they have a great kicking incubator, and I think you have to feel very confident excuse me, if you're a Ravens fan, because Randy Brown, their kicking coach, he flew all over the country
Right.
to identify these guys, and Loop was atop their list.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was really cool, and I'm looking forward to what football season brings. 'Cause it seems to be kind of different. A lot of like rookies now are just like almost more than rookies coming into it. Like it seems like they're taking on more leadership. I don't know what's done that, if it's because the college scene has changed with all the money that's being thrown around, but it seems like more pressure is being put on rookie athletes, especially in football and basketball.
Oh, for sure. I completely agree. And heck, even sticking with the Ravens with their first round pick, Malachi Starks, that was a big takeaway from rookie minicamp, from people that were out there talking about his leadership ability. And he started as a freshman at Georgia, and they won the national championship that year. So a 3 year
Right.
starter coming in with plenty of experience. And even though he's 21, 22 years old, he's still that confident in his ability outwardly.
Yeah, exactly. So now that we've went into the sports world a little bit, I just wanted to focus on football just because it kind
Sure.
of dominates with us. But I want to switch over into some music. What's your favorite type of music to really vibe to, and maybe some of your favorite records?
I would say my favorite type of music or era of music was sort of like 2000s, like kind of pop punk. If you I We recently went to the Linkin Park concert.
Yep.
Linkin Park's easily one of my favorite bands, you know. But just of that ilk, like All American Rejects and Blink
Hmm.
182 and all of those type of bands, that's kind of my wheelhouse. But in terms of
Yeah.
what I listen to, pretty much everything. I'm not a country guy. I mean, I can go from Kendrick Lamar to Ed Sheeran, so
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
I feel like I have that kind of range in terms of music.
Yeah, and my show is doing any is mainly covering undiscovered dance music. Is there any like EDM, dance, trance, any of that type of stuff that ends up in your rotation?
Um, Gosh, one of my favorite concerts that I ever went to, it was when I was at Towson. I was a freshman, and it was Tiger Fest, and it was Juicy J, but then it was Steve Aoki, and
Okay.
that was oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it was so much fun. With Steve Aoki, some Chainsmokers a little bit. Skrillex is cool. I love
Right, yeah.
Skrillex. Yeah, I would say those.
Yeah, yeah. I just recently been listening to the new Skrillex album that just came out, and it's some of the best in terms of like mainstream. I still stay pretty underground, but in terms of mainstream, like it's nothing better than him. Like
Yeah,
I
oh, it's
think I
crazy.
think he's a production god. Like
Yeah.
some of the best sound design, like I think his sound design in his albums is better than like some Marvel movies out there. Like it's
Yeah.
so attention to detail is king in the space, and I think that's something that is underappreciated too, is the amount of attention to detail. And I'm sure you could see it to a degree with like your production background. Like a lot goes
Absolutely.
into
Look,
it.
man, I think people that can make music are wizards, just in
Right.
terms of we always operate in the Adobe Audition universe. And I always say to anyone that comes in new, auditions as easy or as hard as you want to make it,
Yeah.
because there's so many layers to Adobe that quite frankly I haven't even touched.
Right.
And I'm sure obviously the music producers use a different software, but I it's crazy, man. I mean, it's always so crazy to see the type of sessions, and you'd know this and appreciate this. Kevin Zwicker, who makes the game day
Hmm.
opens
Yeah.
for our Ravens pregame. It's a movie trailer quality. Like
Right. Yeah.
those sessions are insane to look at.
Yeah, my dad, he does production stuff like that for NASCAR radio over on
Mhm.
satellite radio, and he shows me his Pro Tools sessions, and they are layers upon layers. I don't know how he uses Pro Tools because every time he tries to show it to me, my brain works the opposite, and I think
Mhm.
part of it is like because my brain is a little bit more musical while his brain's a little bit more audio.
Yeah.
based. So like I see everything like I want it to be dramatic and on beat, but like his timing is different in the sense that he likes it to like flow as one single audio track, even though there's 20, 30 tracks in his session. So it's like everyone's workflow is different.
Oh, without question. I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, the audio world is it's wild. I mean, it's wild
Yeah,
because it's limitless. And then,
right.
when you throw want to throw in the video side of it too, I
Yeah.
remember. So my major was mass comm. My minor was EMF, which is electronic media and film. So
Okay.
I dealt with a good amount of Premiere, Adobe Premiere, and
Right.
it's a whole other world where it just gets so crazy. And then working with the audio on top of that, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I had a social media job at a car dealership, and
Hmm.
I learned how to use video editing software like all self-taught there, like just
Yeah,
as I went, and like I made some really crappy videos and learned my lesson on how
yeah,
things work and like timing, and that was actually kind of how I got like I don't know if you ever notice when I'm doing a show for you with a lot of music in it, but like I always try to like sync stuff up with like
yeah.
either you talking or like flowing one song naturally on beat, and I learned all
Absolutely.
that stuff there because like I learned how crappy it sounded from it just to go from one song to the next. Like I
Yeah.
and
Without a transition
yeah,
type.
without a
Yeah.
transition, yeah. And that's why like I even like when we were doing transitions on your football show
Yeah.
before yeah,
Yeah.
and I
Wow.
liked that
Football
because
daily. Yeah. Yeah.
it sounds a lot better to transition, especially in talk when you are talking over music because it's a complete hype killer when a song abruptly changes.
Roughly. Yes. Completely
Yeah.
agree.
But okay. One thing, the last like specific thing I got is if you were to write a song, what would it sound like and what would it be about? What would be its message?
Oh man. That is really deep. Sorry, that is my 3-year-old dog.
Oh no, you're good.
Is Oh wow, that was a good catch. Um, what would my message be? Gosh. I mean, I almost want to go back to Lincoln Park. Um, honestly, it's so that I really like from there is that's very deep. And you know me in the fact that I'm obviously very open about, talking about mental health and
Right.
spreading that kind of positive message. Their song One More Light
Hmm.
on their last album with Chester Bennington is really good, and I think it's a really good message. Um, and I think that that's the message that I would provide. It probably
Yeah.
would be more of a softer song just to kind of
Yeah.
fit with that, like kind of One More Light. So I think that's probably what I would do.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that is cool because even though like my show is very heavy into like the beats and the four on the floor stuff, there is something really to be said about just a voice and a guitar or a piano
Absolutely.
like just singing their guts out like and that's what that song is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely agree.
So yeah, I guess well looks like you want to play some fetch, but
Yeah, she's
um
fired
I'll
up, I can
just
tell.
I'll just end off with like what would you like to plug? What's going on with you and anything else you want to put out on my platform?
Yeah, I guess anyone that's interested in throwing me a follow, my name's Tim Barbolace, and last name, I know it's kind of a mouthful, Barbalace. So my socials are just that, just my name. And yeah, if you ever want to check me out on my show on 105.7 The Fan, it's a sports talk, but we do non-sports as well. So you could go to 1057thefan.com to listen to us. You can also stream us on the Odyssey app.
Yeah, yeah, you guys and you specifically do a lot of non-sports segments on Inside Access. You do your TMIs and
Yeah,
your twibs.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, I really recommend listening to Tim. He's a great voice to have on the station. A little fresh and easier to digest, especially like if you're not a sports expert. He's good at breaking stuff down to, I don't want to say simpleton, but just an easier way to get it.